Why do you have to have God in your life to be a good person?
And I told you. What did I tell you first? You do not have to believe in God to be a good person. Remember, I told you all of my atheist friends do good things. I told you everybody does good things. In fact, I know that Adolf Hitler did good things because my dad was a little Boy Scout in Switzerland. And Adolf Hitler was coming through the Alps, and my dad met Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler didn't slap my dad around. Adolf Hitler complimented my father for being in the Swiss Boy Scouts.
You say that everyone does good things, but that doesn't necessarily make them good people.
No, I didn't say that.
Because I asked, why do you need God to be a good person? And then you said everyone does good things.
Can do good.
Yes.
So, and then I went on to explain. But if there is no God, good person is a totally relative category. What does that mean? It means goodness is a taste. Like, do you like the taste of corn or do you like the taste of beans? It's just a prejudice, just a taste. Culturally influenced, environmentally influenced, genetically influenced, whatever. It's just a taste. And I'm standing here saying you can't live that out. Because you know that to step on a cockroach is radically different from stepping on a baby. Because a human being has value. Not because I happen to be a human being.
Right.
Not because I give that baby value. False. That baby has innate, intrinsic, intrinsic value. Why? Because they're not pond scum evolved to a higher order. They're a human being created by God for a purpose, to love Him and to love each other.
And you're saying that I'm placing relative goodness into people, right? Like my term of goodness, because I don't believe in God, is relative. But you're saying that because of God, we have innate value. That's what you're saying.
Because He created us for a purpose,
right.
Correct.
So when you're saying because God created people, and because that's why they have values, because they created them.
They were created for a purpose.
Now you're saying that this God is like the status, right? He's what makes people good. But as humans, you can't really like know what God is thinking, right? So who's using that value? Who's saying, oh, like this is what's good and this is what's not good? It's the people in power, in religious power, because they're the ones interpreting God.
Really? Okay, these two guys believe in Jesus Christ, not because of people in power in religion as institutions. If these two guys believed in Jesus Christ because of powerful religious people, they'd be idiots. Because you know very well in this culture what religious institutions have done to people of African American heritage. These two brothers believe in Jesus Christ because they had the intellectual honesty to refuse to allow a white Christian racist or church or institution to turn them off to the true Jesus, who did not have a racist bone in his body, who in his first sermon in Luke 4 took a pot shot at racism and almost was killed for it. And so they don't allow white supremacists who call themselves Christians to turn them off to the true Jesus, who did not have a racist bone in his body. Does that make any sense?
That makes total sense. And
Good.
I mean, I applaud you guys for your like faith and stuff. But that's not my question. My question is, who decides what's good and right? If God is deciding it, right? But as humans, who's interpreting what's good and right? Like, who's doing that?
And remember, let's reel it back. I told you, first point, human conscience. I told you that all of my atheist friends, all of my Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim friends, all of my Christian, Jewish friends have consciences. Conscience is the innate moral ability to distinguish between good and evil, right and wrong. That's why we all experience guilt at some point. Because we have a conscience that says, Cliff, when you had that racist attitude towards Jeremiah, that was evil. That was wrong. And that's why I got to turn to Jeremiah and say, please, Jeremiah, would you forgive me for my racist attitude? So conscience is the first reason. Second of all, you've got to then ask the second question, well, what's the basis of conscience? Is it just environment influencing you? Cultural influences? And if it is just environment, if it is just culture, then it's totally relative. Because if my culture tells me that I am superior because I'm white and he's inferior because he's black, it's my culture. So who are you to come from somewhere outside my culture and tell me that my racist attitude towards him is wrong? It's all relative. But if there is a God who created him in his image, if there is a God who gives him an innate value, and if there is a God who created me for a purpose, to love and respect Jeremiah, not to degrade him, then my racist attitude is not wrong because of my culture or his culture or your culture. It's wrong because he has an innate value that comes from his creator. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense.
It's been an honor to talk with you. I like your persistence.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
going back to conscience, are you saying God's your conscience?
No. God is not the conscience. The conscience is an innate ability that you have to say, that's right and that's wrong. It's tied into your rational.
So basically science,
No. Clear illustration for you, okay? Science tells me that if I put strychnine in my grandma's tea, it will kill her. That's science. Does science answer the question, in light of how much money my grandma has, should I put strychnine in her tea in order to kill her to get her money, or should I not? Does science answer that question? No. Now we are moving from science to philosophy and ethics. The question, should I put strychnine in grandma's tea in order to kill her to get her money? That is not a scientific question. That is an ethical, philosophical question, a spiritual question. Does that make any sense?
Not really.
You really think science answers the question, should I put strychnine in my grandma's tea to get her money?
Isn't that just conscience, like you were talking about? That's just
Well,
you
how does
thinking
science
about
answer that? What does science tell me to do?
Just your brain, like
Yeah.
the way you think. That's just you thinking.
What conscience is.
Bro, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're not. I'm talking to the
Answer your own
pastor.
question.
Ma'am, I hate to tell you, science cannot answer the question, should you love her or hate her? Science does answer the question. You take out a knife and stick it in her, and she bleeds. She might bleed to death. Yes, that's obvious. That's a physical, material, scientific question. It includes, obviously, medical knowledge. Okay? But the question, should you stick a knife in her or not? It's not a scientific question, guys. And that's why when you say, I live for science, you can't live it out. You can't. Should you pay your taxes or not? Science doesn't tell you.
So why, like, you're saying, okay, God, this, and that, and they believe that too, but a religious person, I don't know. So I'm a little confused on like
Okay,
where
good.
you're going with that.
Good. It's real simple. Let's see if I can express it. God gave me a conscience, but he also gave me a free will. And God has said, I am not to stick him with a knife and murder him. But because I have a free will, I can descend to the position of saying, I'm going to murder you. Bam. That's not because of God. It's not because of conscience. It's because of my free will, my choosing to sear my conscience and knife him instead of love and respect him the way God created me to love and respect him. But now what Jesus says is, Cliff, you're free to knife him. Guess what? You're not free to escape the day of judgment, when the all-knowing God will hold you responsible for sticking a knife in him. And that's why I need Jesus Christ. Because no, I haven't knifed people, but I have hated people. No, I've never stolen a bunch of money from a bank, but I have been greedy. So I need forgiveness because I've done wrong. And my conscience convicts me by guilt. And I say, whoa, what did I do to that person? That was wrong. And I can self-reflect. I can know myself. I can judge myself, critique myself.
Right. And that's like really good. And so what I think about religion is that it's good for people who need it to be able to reflect upon themselves. Like I think that people should be able to do that, but some people can't without having religion. So that's how I
Okay.
say.
I mean,
Sometimes gotta skank around.
I mean, I am.
And you've heard loud and clear, I hope, what I've said to you, which is, you can do good, be you atheist, agnostic, whatever, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Jew. But if you're an atheist, you cannot say they're objective morals. Instead, you got to say they're subjective morals, relative morality. See, I could never use this argument with a Muslim, because a Muslim and I agree. There are objective morals that come from God, from Allah. So with a Muslim, this is not part of the discussion. Rather, it is part of the discussion when I'm talking to agnostics or atheists. Because remember I told you, all of my atheist friends do very good things at times.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, you said it doesn't align with their thinking.
Correct. And if I have a thinking, a worldview, that is majorly contradicted by the way I experience life, see what I'm trying to do with you? I'm trying to say, okay, you can't live out what you believe. Should you not go back and re-examine what you believe? because such a big part of reality, your conscience, your understanding that there are some objective morals, maybe not many, but the abuse of an innocent child would be an example that that's never, ever good. That demands there to be human value that's real and objective, not just because I'm great or I'm the best. I've been created by God and given value by God. Therefore, for me to abuse an innocent child is absolutely wrong.
So is it being an atheist that gives that gap, or is it just that person that has that gap of like following what their morals are? Because I have my morals and I
Yes.
stick by them.
Good.
Is it being an atheist that makes them that makes them have that gap between their moral and their living their life?
Okay.
Or is it just that person in itself?
Okay, now, what I'm pleading with you is, I respect you living good life. I respect you for having moral standards that you do not compromise. Awesome. Now, allow your conviction, and you got a conviction. If you're not going to sacrifice your morals and compromise them, you know that you got some convictions. Don't you think that those convictions are tying you into reality? That there are some moral absolutes, and you hold very tightly to them. And so what I'm suggesting is, now you got to take a second step, which is, why? Why are those morals real and objective? There's only one way they can be real and objective, is if there is some mind prior to the human mind who creates and defines them and who gives people real value, and therefore you better not devalue them, you better respect them. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense.